This is the Umbrella Academy podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're discussing the Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 4, Kugelblitz.
So this whole time you've been complaining about the commission, and you're the one who founded it. Classic.
If I did, I have no memory of it.
So here I was thinking you're a maverick, but you're a company man. Down to the bone. I mean, you... you literally cannot breathe without this place.
Welcome back, fellow Academy alumni. We are talking about the 4th episode of Season 3 of Umbrella Academy, Kugelblitz. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Yes, hello there, fellow Brollies. I'm one of your other hosts, John.
And rounding out this trio of Academy alumni, I am Chris.
It's gonna take off. It's gonna be Academy alumni by the end of the season. John.
It really
Even
is.
you're gonna
I know.
be saying it. Yes,
I know. I'm defeated.
You
but
are
I will
sticking to Brollies.
Continue through, persevere with my Brollies.
I am just a fan of alliteration. Peter Parker,
Chris Christopherson.
Chris Christopherson. Oh yes, yes.
I love
Chris
it.
Pratt. It's not the same, but it's
No,
still,
it's not.
I just like saying his name.
Yes. Okay. Well, we'll move on with our discussion about Umbrella Academy, Season 3, Episode 4. Hope you've been enjoying our coverage of Umbrella Academy, fellow Academy alumni. We're here to talk about the 4th episode, Kugelblitz, finally, named in the episodes. I know we've been calling it that since the beginning of the season, but I don't think anybody minded too much, did they?
No.
No. Umbrella Academy is created for TV with Steve Blackman and developed by Jeremy Slater. This is based on a comic book by Jared Way and Gabriel Ba. And this episode was directed by Sylvain White. He directed the Umbrella Academy Season 2 premiere right back where we started, and he'll do the next episode of this season as well.
I'm really enjoying that they're still doing this now, especially on Umbrella Academy, where you're giving 2 episodes to write or direct, 2 episodes, like, more, you're brought back when, like, there's probably connective tissue, when there's things like that. I'm enjoying seeing that alumni piece coming back.
And speaking of which, the teleplay for this episode was written by Aeryn Michelle Williams, who was a staff writer on the show all the way throughout Season 2. This is her first of 2 episodes for Season 3 of Umbrella Academy. So
Great
again,
stuff,
graduated from the Academy, I guess.
Absolutely.
How many jokes can we make
Nice
about
one.
graduations, alumni?
I'm sure we can make many, many jokes, and we will use them all,
Yes.
I'm sure. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for Season 3, Episode 4, Kugelblitz?
Sure. As Harlan could not control the powers he gained from Viktor back in 1963, he and his mother lived a difficult life, needing to move constantly. But when Sissy died, he had a particularly violent episode. In the present, after his energy burst, Harlan reconnects with Viktor, while Allison uses her powers on Sloane, the remaining Sparrow at Hotel Obsidian, to try to force her to reveal the whereabouts of the briefcase, but Sloane does not know where it is. Frustrated, she and Diego go into a bar with those types of people outside, hoping to get into a fight. Meanwhile, Luther and Viktor give Sloane back to the Sparrows as a peace offering, but at the last minute, Ben demands that they hand over Harlan as well. In the ruins of the Commission, Five and Lila find its founder, an elderly future version of Five with a missing arm and a cryptic tattoo. Before he dies, he warns Five not to save the world. Back in the Hotel Obsidian, on cleanup duty, Klaus and Stanley find a luxury suite called the White Buffalo, which is not on the hotel inventory. As they check out the suite, Stan accidentally fires a spear gun which kills Klaus. Elsewhere in the hotel, Harlan finds the files on the Umbrella Academy's dead mothers, and reveals to Viktor that when his mother died, his outburst of power inadvertently killed their mothers and caused the grandfather paradox. So lots and lots happening here. A death of an umbrella. A fantastic set of death scenes of their mothers, with blood gushing from ears, nose and eyes. Very visual, shall we say. And, yes, 2 fives in the same place at the same time. But in a paradox-proof room, so he's not forcing, and dare I say it, one of the best lines ever. He's not sweating like a dodgy shrimp on ice, either. Really
Yeah.
Just great stuff. Loads of bits of intrigue here. Loved it.
Definitely.
So much going on as well. Even with Harlan, like there's some really tender moments with Harlan and Viktor as well. I really, really enjoyed them.
Yes, some great moments in here throughout the episode. But we are only picking 1 point each to talk about in this episode. We're picking our big moment from season 3, episode 4. Chris, do you want to start us there?
Sure, happy to. My major big moment for this episode is a founder is found.
Mm-hmm.
A founder is lost. A founder is gained? Ooh. Yes, no, I was trying to be cryptic, it just doesn't work. Yes, we find out the founder of the commission is none other than 5. And it's just fun. You hear about, like, they have to get to the special bunker, and they go off looking for it. And as they get closer, you do see 5 start to kind of talk and get that paradoxical kind of sweats and burps and farts and don't meet yourself, and you're like, what's going on? Oh my god. Like, you start to connect it before he does. And it's fun. And then they get into the room, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is even weirder and stranger and kind of just as fun as you can expect it to be. Like, I want to know why he lost his arm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this going to happen at the end of the season? Like,
maybe.
Does going into season 4, we have a young number 5 with 1 arm who's now wearing suits and 1 arm?
Yeah.
There's just so much here to kind of have fun with. And I just think it was also having Lila be the person he does this with. It's like, I'll give you 2 a moment. Kind of, it's just, again, that perfect pairing of the people to to deliver this scene.
Yeah, that's it. I like when Lila is kind of saying, hang on, stop shouting at yourself effectively, because she can see that he's starting to die. I thought that was a really kind of interesting. It's just a really nice moment from Lila, just despite the white hot hatred that they have. I thought that was really good. Just before that, she's basically saying, "Oh, you are a company man. I thought you were the maverick, but you're actually the company man."
Oh, she's totally taking the piss out of him.
Exactly, she's winding him up. I think the other things I really enjoyed as well from this was just how they focused on the older 5's knees and legs when in the tin can. Again, Lila has a great line. I was expecting more man, and I got more can. It was like really good. Like the other thing about it as well is I just love Aidan Gallagher's just physical representation of the old man in a boy's body and in a school uniform. It was just really good. There's a moment where I think they've just come into the commission building, and they split, and he goes upstairs, and it's a young person going up the stairs, but he's hunched over. His elbows are kind of in that weird sort of old person way, sort of, because trying to extra support. And it was just really, really good. I really enjoyed just how that looked, from him. And of course, quite unsentimental about himself, given he peels off the tattoo from the chest of himself. So after he's died.
Well, if you're going to do that to anybody, you do it to your own dead body, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Interesting enough, this is the second time we've seen him as an old man. Or this is the oldest we have seen him.
Yes.
That's
so
true.
Again, this is the fun of timey-wimey craziness. Because, like, this is still him. So we saw him, he lived his life. He went back in time to the beginning of season 1 and became young 5 again, because you remember he lived his whole life, like had his marriage, was an agent of the commission, then left the commission, went back to the Umbrella Academy, and just became the young boy again as he aged coming through the portal, and then he's lived the last 20 days and wants to retire, and now is seeing his older self, because again, he's what? It's a 15-year-old, and that man looked 70, 80.
Yeah.
So he's got
or more, yeah.
a fair few years, and again, remember, he could potentially jump back and forward in time and keep
Exactly.
aging it up. Like, the joys of timey-wimey crazy time travel.
Well, the reveal here is that he definitely jumps through time because he creates the commission. And as you say, when we met him first, he'd worked for the commission.
Yes.
So he clearly has jumped backwards in time at some point to create the commission, or he maybe creates it in a couple of years' time, I suppose. Yeah, all gets a bit mishmashed up, but an interesting reveal here. And we should have guessed it right from the start, because every single commission video that we've seen throughout the last couple of seasons has all had the voiceover done by Aidan Gallagher. I just thought it was a fun touch. I just thought he's a fun actor. We'll get him to do the voiceover, because he introduces all the main concepts into the show. But it's not. He's the commissioner. He's the founder of the commission. So of course he's going to be doing the voiceover for all of these videos. So, nice touch there. Umbrella Academy hiding that in plain sight.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's the end of my major point, my major moment, if you will, for this episode. Johners, what is your key moment, your big point, your big moment for this episode?
It's Uncle Klaus. Not only the fact that he gets a harpoon through him right at the end, although whether he's dead or not, who knows? Because he can speak to the dead. We actually haven't seen that power in this season so far. Not really.
Yeah.
He's kind of been loafing around, really.
Yeah.
I am scared, though. I am going to put this out. There was a sign that went up when they were promoting this season, which is literally, it was a billboard that went, "Not everyone will survive this season." With the Umbrella Academy logo and an umbrella emoji.
Yeah. And so far, it's just been all the Sparrow Academy who aren't surviving episodes.
No, it's not to say that he's not dead, for sure, but given his powers involving communicating with the dead, it might not totally be what it seems.
Do you know what would be hilarious? Given how annoying Klaus is to everybody, if Klaus became the Ben of the rest of the season, where he can now talk to everybody who's alive and annoy everybody else in the Umbrella Academy.
True.
Wouldn't that work really well for Robert Sheehan?
Definitely. But if he is dead, then just to celebrate Klaus in this episode, I love the fact that he becomes Uncle Klaus for Stanley and effectively babysits him as not only Stanley, but Klaus get sort of enrolled by Diego to clean up the mess, which at least initially looked like it was just the Molotov cocktail fire mess in the lobby of the hotel, and ends off being a whole list of rooms. And I think
now he's got to pay for the damage he did. It's not just clean up the damage,
Exactly.
pay for it as well.
I really, really enjoyed them going into the rooms and so on. I love that, as Stan is cleaning the rooms, he's stealing the watches, the bracelets, the panties from the room, whilst he's effectively giving emotional advice to Klaus, who's having this eureka type moment about who he is, why he is the way he is, from the conversation he's having with his nephew. And I just really absolutely loved this whole thing. And he's also drinking, I guess it's mouthwash all the way through. Yeah. So I really like
some
that.
alcohol and some mouthwash, so I guess it was that.
Exactly. So I loved all this. I love the fact that Klaus spots that and just knows instinctively that Stanley's nicking all the good stuff from the rooms and so on. And then he's effectively babysitting, but they come across then the White Buffalo room, which isn't on the hotel's list of rooms. And as they go in, there is the suggestion that this is connected in some ways to Reggie, as you get this momentary flashback to a White Buffalo painting in Reggie's office. And again, because in the show it's called Hotel Obsidian, but we do have those links here with, like we said from the last episode, where Reggie's just kind of in his sleep is speaking Oblivion, which is the name of the hotel in the comic. And also we do get that moment that number 5 says as well, old number 5, I should say, in the can, where whilst he says, whatever you do, don't save the world, the other thing he does say is, all we have left is oblivion.
Yes.
Again, is it because it's truly the end of the world, or the nice play on words? And is it just that Obsidian's been given a new name because it's been taken over by new owners, like any hotel, I guess. Yeah. So I really liked how this played out. But in the White Buffalo room, we do have then Stanley effectively playing around with a harpoon, and the harpoon literally... I think it's the fact that it went straight through. I guess because it was point blank from Stanley as he's playing with it and fires it off by accident. So, because he does shout Uncle Klaus. He does shout Uncle Klaus. So it is an accident, and he certainly doesn't want to do it. You're wondering what trouble he's going to get in, even more so from Diego, given what Diego's done following the Molotov cocktail accident. So, this, again, really interesting thing, the White Buffalo room, but also the death of Klaus. And just that's the thing, I was loving Stanley and Klaus together. Just loved the dynamic between them.
Yeah.
And then Stanley goes and shoots him with a harpoon. I'm like, no, what are you doing?
Yes, and then you had to go and spoil it by doing something stupid, like shooting Klaus with a harpoon gun. Yes. Yeah, it is a proper, murder. It's like an accidental murder of Klaus. This isn't something that's planned. It isn't someone killing him who has a vendetta against him or something. This is just completely accidental. Pull the trigger by mistake of a loaded weapon in a room and take out Klaus.
But I feel really sorry for Stanley because, at the start of this episode, after everything that happened with Harlan, you have Stanley running out from behind the bar where he's being put for safety and hugging Diego. It's almost like that first, Diego's a little bit, he puts his arm around, not necessarily sure how much to hug his son, but Stanley is absolutely, a kid, and he runs in for the safety hug after everything that's gone on. So, it's just, oh no, and at the end he's shot his uncle Klaus with a harpoon. Yep. So I really feel sorry for the kid.
Absolutely. Just a standard day in the Umbrella Academy.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so that's my point. I really kind of enjoyed this with Klaus for this episode with Stanley, and then just the shocking end at the end of the episode.
Yeah. He's just Robert Sheen's too big. The character Klaus is too great. I will be shocked if he's not back in a couple of episodes, but we'll wait and see.
But it's one of those ones, it's ever since Robert Sheen was on his breakout show Misfits, which has really got him all of the attention that he still gets to this day. And then he left that show after 3 seasons. It went on for another 3 or 4 seasons and had to replace his character with another very similar actor playing a similar role, basically. So it's one of those ones where you wonder whether Robert Sheen stays around on shows like this for a long time or whether he's made the decision to move on. But anyway, as we said, we know his power is talking to dead people, so potentially we'll hear from him from beyond the grave, even if he doesn't come back.
Exactly.
I'm going to go on to my big moment from the episode, because I want to talk about Allison. There were little moments in the last episode, we didn't really mention them much, but little moments in the last episode of Allison going a bit beyond where she'd been in the past. She'd been a very level-headed character. She's gone through a huge amount and is still going through a huge amount, probably more than the rest of the Umbrella Academy. And last episode, for example, was the moment where she went up against the Sparrows and kept pushing them, lying about the fact that they had Marcus in order to get them to give the briefcase back. So she's been pushing it. But this episode, it goes much further. She tries to interrogate Sloane using her rumor power even though Sloane doesn't know where the briefcase is, she keeps pushing to the point where there's blood coming out of Sloane's eyes, and nose. Yeah. So she's definitely going very far here. And then she tries to use the rumor power on herself in the mirror, telling herself to be happy. I heard a rumor you're happy. That doesn't seem to work, I guess. But she cuts her hair off effectively is the next step. But you can tell that she's going off the rails a bit, and Diego realizes and takes her out on a bit of a fun jaunt, I guess, for these two characters. He's trying to be brotherly. He's trying to be helpful to her. There is a great conversation between the two of them. I really love bringing back up that major focus of season 2 with people like Allison and Diego in Texas back in the 60s, both of them being people of color and how they were treated back there. She calls it out that the rest of the family don't know what they experienced. Yeah. Most of them wouldn't have gone through that experience. And then the reveal that where Diego's actually brought them to is to a white nationalist bar so that they can relieve some tension effectively and be happy about the people that they're punching, because you're definitely going to get some trouble in there if you look like they do. So
yeah, exactly. I love the description of the bar where people like them hate people like us, you know, and that he did this when he was budget Batman, as Allison says, during his vigilante time, you know. That's right. Really good. Yeah. I thought Allison was really, really good here. I love the moment when she says, you know, I'm angry and I don't know where to put it.
Yes.
It's like really that build up, that frustration, that tension that builds up because she doesn't actually know what to do, because it's the racism that she's gone through, in Dallas, she says, but it's also leaving Ray and Claire, coming back, you know, effectively not being able to get home to her daughter and her husband as well. You know, all these things colliding in. I mean, even when she tried to rumor herself and she's got the shard of the mirror, just because it goes to her throat as well. I wasn't entirely sure what was going to happen here. And then she comes out with the haircut. So, you know, it's just this great tension. And of course, that tension as well is just spilling over with other people. In particular, when she's rumoring Sloane, with Luther, you know, because Diego is kind of with Allison thinking Luther's maybe a bit of a traitor. He's working with the enemy, but there's the strain there because, Luther cares for Sloane so much. He knows what this means to be rumored by Allison. And so, you know, he's trying to be the member, the number one of the Umbrella Academy, but he's also trying to protect his new love that he's found. And I love that tension between Allison and Luther, who, you know, they were kind of supposed to be the couple, you know, from season 1. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I love this. And it's what happens if you take the rails off Professor X. If you can, like, this character has always been, since season 1, level-headed, controlled, really very much the one who never kind of has massive outbursts or things like that, because her power allows her to is essentially reality altering, in this case, more kind of essentially just being able to get anyone in the world to do what you want.
Exactly, yeah.
And that control, that power is essentially like kind of absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Well, yes.
She's always gone against it.
Well, yes, we met her at the beginning of season 1 and learned that she had used her power to get herself to a very high position. So every time we've seen her in the show from that point onwards, she's been very resistant about using it to get what she wants, for anything, effectively. And now she's lost everything again, has this massive power, doesn't know how to get herself back on track, effectively, yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to end up, where, like, it's either the greatest of falls as she starts to go further and further into this more corrupted version of herself, who with no control over her power. Well, not no control over her power's usage. She has no care. She doesn't. Previously,
Yes.
she wouldn't have done it before.
No restraint.
Again, since we met her in season 1, she's the Allison who has come and joined back into the Umbrella Academy, who is happy, wants her family back, etc., 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 etc.
Let's hope that she just goes after lots more white nationalists and Nazis. She'll take them all out. That'd be a good way to use her.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like Diego calls it out. You were the nice one of the group, you know, on the relative scale of the Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
But, you know, she was the grounded, sensible, kind of almost held back. And now she can't hold what's happened in any longer around her daughter, her husband, and, you know, effectively the experience she had in Dallas in the 60s, which was still fresh, still there, because it's only like 2 or 3 days ago. So, really, really good stuff, I think, here, with Allison.
Yeah. Really enjoyed those moments in the episode, and intrigued to see where her character goes. She had a great storyline in season 2, and it seems like they're building another great storyline for Allison in this season as well. Really good stuff. Any notes about the episode? I know there's one other big thing that we haven't really talked about.
Yeah.
So.
That was kind of my note. Just Harlan. I mean, we get that flashback at the start. You know, that difficult life that him and his mother Sissy have had. Having to move from town to town, you know, exploding rabbits, must move, bullied at school, must move, you know, ultimately, leading with Sissy, dying, but also then just him and Viktor. I thought there was some really kind of tender moments here, both in terms of, you know, Viktor almost asking him whether it was okay that she was Viktor now, because it was Vanya when she passed over part of her power, which effectively connects them. So that's the other thing we learn here, is that they've been connected. He knows, you know, it connects to him. That's why he plays the music to kind of control it, because he can't control it fully and has blown up rabbits or done all these different things. But, you know, there's just really nice moment in one of the bedrooms where he turns to Viktor and says, you know, why did you leave us? I needed you. And, you know, it feels really sad. And I think Viktor's really tender with him as well. And I really thought this was properly emotional stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And ultimately at the end of it, though, we see that the big burst of energy, a bit, you know, similar to what we saw at the lobby of the hotel in the last episode, ultimately caused the death of all their parents. You know, we know it's not Reggie, but he sees the paper clippings that Viktor has been compiling, and, you know, is kind of angry as to why they're all there, you know, because he knows that he was the one responsible for their deaths.
Absolutely. And it went worldwide as well, just like the birthing power, I guess, that gave all these kids to their mothers. And we still don't know what actually caused the births of the Umbrella Academy kids, right? We still don't know the reason behind that, what it is that caused it. So,
white, it was the glowing lights.
Well, yes, it was the glowing lights, yes.
that sprinkled into her belly.
Yes. But I suppose my question really is, the fact that Sissy died at that specific moment and the kids were burst into the world at that moment, is that the reason why Harlan's power was activated so much? The fact that Viktor has just been born into the world and he got his power from Viktor back in the 60s, and all of those things have connected and come at this moment when Sissy died, and he probably would have exploded the hospital at that time, but because this presence has suddenly appeared into the universe in Vanya, is that the reason why his power has just kicked off and killed all of their parents, all the members of the Umbrella Academy? I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think it's, I mean, if I'm understanding right, it's the power kills their parents, therefore they're not born here. So the dust of light that we saw in episode 1 in Korea ends off going to these other people. And so in this timeline, and that's why Ben is still there, because he was already dead. But they've gone out of that world. So that's...
Oh, okay. I get you. No, it's that there were 43 children born on that day. The 7 are the Umbrella Academy. We know a few others, like Lila, for example, but we never knew the full 43. But remember in that voiceover in episode 1 of this season, there's only been 17 people born. Yeah. So all of the rest of the Sparrow Academy, they were all born, but just weren't brought in by Reginald. It wasn't that the light moved on to somebody else. All of their mothers are dead.
But there's fewer of them.
Much fewer, yeah.
So it could be... It could be that. That's why there's no doppelgangers in this universe of them.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been born. They're there because they've gone through time.
Well, I think the reason why Ben survived is actually because Harlan would never have seen Ben, because he was dead.
Exactly.
Whereas all the rest of them he saw, so their parents are all dead. Yeah. I think that's it. But I'm sure this investigation will go on a bit further throughout the season. But I think the people that he killed were all of their mothers specifically, because those are the people that he connected with.
Potentially.
Yeah. It's the connection, ultimately.
Yeah.
Much like Highlander, there can be only one.
Something like that.
Yes.
Something like that.
I am immortal.
Any other notes about the episode that we haven't talked about?
The only other thing is I really enjoyed sort of Sloane and Luther again here, where he's having to convince her that he wasn't using her, and how effectively he opens up here, says, I don't really have any friends. I've only got the Academy as my family, and I would do anything except betray you to them. Which was really nice. I love when he's describing how disorganized they are. As we said last time, there's the Sparrow Academies coming in like a regiment of troops.
Yeah.
And then half of the Umbrella Academy is missing or not really sure what's going on.
Yeah.
And he says, my family can't even decide kind of the toppings on the pizza, really, let alone come up with a master plan. Although he does kind of come up with a plan with Sloane to do that swap with the dead bodies of Jamie and Alfonso, and Sloane to go back as well
to Faye Ben,
in order to kind of draw a line under it and to sort of effectively bring peace to the galaxy, I guess, or to the timeline. But alas, Ben
flips it again.
And I have to say, I did like the opening of this, where you've got Faye and Ben saying, you walked us into the slaughter, and he goes, I'm number one. Yeah, a shitty number one. And there's really, she's not really enjoying Ben as number one here.
Absolutely. And he's kind of going, the reason why it failed is because you're a terrible number 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really like that.
I do just very quickly close with, I love the fact that the actor who is portraying Ben is obviously having such a fun time here now, because in the last 2 seasons he's played the nice dead guy, and now he gets just to completely change the same character, just a different, whole different style.
Absolutely.
I'd say, he's chewing the scenery, but in a very good way.
Yeah, he's really, really good. It must be nice to actually act with the other people that are in the TV series with you.
Exactly. Also, just 2 more quick points. We have Herb's distress message. We get, disintegrated in black and white.
Yeah. And he mentions every other character from the commission from last season, just to name check them all.
And of course, Lila saying, "Excuse me," was quite cute.
All right, I guess.
I thought it was quite fun.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I like Lila.
Well, she's a great character. Great character.
Yeah, she's quirky.
She is.
I love her.
Overall, John, what did you think of the episode? What's your rating for episode 4 of season 3 of Umbrella Academy?
This was my favourite, actually, of the show so far. I give this 5 dodgy sweating shrimps out of 5. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I didn't know whether to just do my review with Gravity Barbies as well. That was another one. I was going to do out of Squeeze Me's as well, because I love the writing in this. It's kind of off wall. It just makes sense for all these characters, but there's a lot in here. Yeah. Death of Klaus, the founder being found. It's number 5. Effectively, being instructed not to save the world. So, where is this going? What is the White Buffalo Room? What's going to happen to Stanley? How is all of this going to play out? Because, a lot of the Umbrella Academy are not in a good place at the moment, like Allison. Viktor's having to deal with Harlan as well. And so, it just feels, what I mean is, it just feels like this lovely almighty mess that somehow this messy group are gonna end up saving the day, I hope.
Sounds like Umbrella Academy to me.
Yes. So, absolutely loved it. 5 dodgy sweating shrimps out of 5.
Excellent. What about yourself, Chris? Overall, what do you think of the episode?
Loved it. Again, it's so far I've yet to have a down section or a down session in this whole season. This for me is they know who their characters are. There's no longer setting it up. We're setting up the Sparrow Academy, but to a lesser degree. So the actual crux main characters of the Umbrella Academy, we know who they are, so you can take them in interesting directions. And even for people like Lila, who now we understand who she is, what she is, we're able to expand further into who she is as a character and her fun quirkiness.
Absolutely. She is a great character, isn't she? This is a really good episode. Really enjoying the season so far. 4 episodes in, 6 more to go. Really enjoying our time with the Umbrella Academy. Great stuff. John, I think we need to go and wet our whistle over at the Obsidian Lounge. Let's get our pub quiz question for episode 4 of the Umbrella Academy.
Definitely. Fellow quizzers, fellow brollies, it is question 4. What are the names of the 5 cities and towns that Harlan and Sissy move through in the opening flashback?
Oh, that's good. They're all written on screen.
One. Ooh.
But they're all written on screen. It's not that tough, Chris. It's okay.
No.
It's okay.
Okay. It's still tough. You have to write fast.
You do have to write fast.
You do. Oh, but there is pause function now.
True. That sometimes works on Netflix.
That wasn't around in my day.
No, neither in mine.
Oh, it was around in mine. I used it a lot. Thanks so much, John, for the pub quiz question. You want to give it one more time?
Yes. What are the names of the 5 cities and towns that Harlan and Sissy move through in the opening flashback?
Good stuff. That's question 4 of 10. Put them all together. Email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com with your answers at the end of the season. You could be in with a chance of getting your hands on some Umbrella Academy goodies once again. We have some feedback from our wonderful fellow Academy alumni as well. First up, we got an email in from Coffee and Vodka to our email address at feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com on episodes 3 and 4. He says, greetings, fellow bickering defenders. It takes a while to get through these episodes. It's like a novel in all its detail put to film. The icing to this heavy cake is the fantastic soundtrack and the dialogue between these dysfunctional characters. So what's to do? Wait for 5 in the case? Go back and not save Harlan? Throw him in the fiery black hole and hope he clogs the temporal drain? Or let all of existence go and hope it resets? Loving the teaming of Lila and 5, chaos and order attempting to work together. All in all, dark, rich, slightly bitter and sweet, covered in something resembling hope. 4.5 negative 4s out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka.
Thank you so much, Coffee and Vodka. So it sounds like a red velvet cake. I'm getting red velvet here. That's kind of how you're describing it to me, and that's one of my favorite cakes.
Red velvet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very tasty.
Family.
Yeah, great stuff, Coffee and Vodka. Yes, I like the choice. Chaos and order attempting to work together. Yes, squeeze me, indeed. Yeah, thanks, Coffee and Vodka. We also got some feedback through from Dr. Bob Phillips for episode 4. He says, Harlan's the center of the paradox and the universe is ending in a ballroom blitz. All seriously dangerous weaponry, not just firearms. should be kept away from children. Plus, this episode gives me the chance to explain the difference between a prolapse, where the lining of a tube, e.g. bowel, falls through it, and an intussusception, where the tube catches and crumpled in on itself, like when a sock balls up in a washing machine, but can also occur with bowels, and we learn the entire universe. Excellent stuff.
There you go.
I'm glad I know that information now, because yes, it was the universe collapsing in on itself like a collapsing rectum.
Well, there you go. Excellent stuff. That's why you need a Dr. Bob as a listener.
Exactly. Great stuff. I'll never look at balls of socks coming out of the washing machine in the same light ever again.
And I'll never look at collapsing rectums the same again. The universe is collapsing.
That's it. The wonder of a black hole will no longer feel quite the same.
Quite so wonderful. Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Bob, and thanks everybody for your feedback. Please keep sending us your feedback for the episodes as we go. Email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries. Spoiler posts up for each and every episode of this season of Umbrella Academy. Just leave your thoughts there. Great to talk to you again about Umbrella Academy. Lots more to discuss as we go through the rest of the episode, so make sure you stay subscribed to us on tvpodcastindustries.com. This episode of TV Podcast Industries was brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, including Cassie Mack. Thank you so much, Cassie.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks so much, Cassie.
Yes, thank you, Cassie. And if you want to be like Cassie, you can head on over to patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries, where you can support us for any monthly amount, and it is much appreciated. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you can pop on over to buymeacoffee.com/TVPI and buy us a coffee. Yes. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll be back with our discussion about Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 5, Kindest Cuts. Looking forward to talking about that one and seeing what's happening after seeing all the exploding heads of the Umbrella Academy mothers.
Yes, but more importantly, what's going to happen to Klaus?
Well, exactly, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope he's just here irritating everybody by talking to them as a ghost.
Yeah, hopefully it was a clean shot. It
Yes.
just went through, didn't touch any of the major organs, and we're all fine and dandy.
Yes, most likely, or he ends up like Slimer.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
A different type of Slimer.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next time. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Yeah, thanks so much, fellow Brollies, for chatting. It's great talking about Umbrella Academy.
No problem.
No worries at all. I'm speaking to our fellow Brollies. But we will be back again, as Derek has already mentioned. But in that time, remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep learning.
Bye.